Hi, my name is Dr. Sabra R. Smith, and I'm a doctor of education, and I train people how to live their life their way by first discovering and utilizing the power of the imagination. Did you know that Albert Einstein said that logic will get you from A to B, but imagination will take you everywhere? And Pablo Picasso said, whatever you imagine is real. But you know, the problem is that so many of us in our transition from childhood to adulthood have forgotten how to imagine. So what I want to do today is I want to take you through the first step of living your life your way by utilizing the power of your imagination and discovering the power on the inside of you. That first step is turning off the faucet of information on the outside. You know, those problems, situations, circumstances, on your jobs, in your homes, in the community at large. You must first turn off that information and then begin to focus on developing that dream, that picture on the inside of you. To make this more practical, I'd like to tell you a story about a lady named Betty. Now, Betty wasn't without problems. As a matter of fact, Betty was a troubled teen. At the age of 17, Betty dropped out of school to marry her sweetheart, 24-year-old soldier, Warren. And soon Betty became pregnant and Warren went off to the war, and Betty decided to work on her GED because she had aspirations of becoming an artist. Well, Warren came home from the war, but to her dismay, Warren abandoned his family, divorcing Betty, leaving her to raise her young son Michael as a single mom. So Betty knew that she had to quickly get skills, so she began taking typing and shorthand and soon got a job as a typist. Working hard, Betty was able to get an even better job as an executive secretary at a bank. And it was during the time that Betty was working as an executive secretary that IBM came out with their new electric typewriter, making typing more efficient and easier, but making correcting mistakes a lot harder. And one day, unfortunately, Betty was frustrated by having to start a letter all over again because of a mistake. And trying to find resolve in something, Betty looked outside the window at the painters who were painting Christmas decoration on the windows. And Betty, looking intently, realized that when they made a mistake, they didn't erase the whole thing, but merely painted with a line of white paint and painted on top of that. And so Betty thought about this all day, and by the end of the day decided to use the power of her imagination to take what she saw the painters do and to take what she knew innately through her aspirations of becoming an artist. And she went home to her kitchen, took out her blender, and began to mix a mixture of white tempera paint. And Betty perfected this mixture because she wanted to be able to correct her mistakes at work. Perfecting the mixture, oh my goodness, Betty and all of the executive secretaries at the bank wanted to utilize the mistake out so that they too can correct their mistakes. And Betty soon had a wonderful business, but unfortunately, she didn't pay as much detail or attention to detail on her job. And guess what? Unfortunately, Betty was fired. But as she began to pack her things, Betty thought, well, you know what? I'll just devote my time to my business. I'll devote my time to mistake out. So Betty went home and began mixing her solution, pouring it, packaging it, and selling it. And with time, Betty saw a sizable profit. As a matter of fact, she offered mistake out to IBM. They turned her down, unfortunately. But not dismayed, Betty just went back home, renamed mistake out to liquid paper, and again began mixing, pouring, packaging, and selling her product. Betty did this for 17 years. And in 1979, a corporation, the Gillette Corporation to be specific, offered Betty a whopping $47.5 million plus royalties. The rest is history. But you know, like Betty, you too can live your life your way by discovering the power of your imagination. But first, you must decide. You have to decide that you're sick and tired of being sick and tired of living your life the way it is. And then you must decide that you want to truly live your life your way and that you will utilize the power of your imagination. You know, it is real. Whatever you imagine is real. And guess what? Your imagination is going to take you everywhere.